said he will halt a U.S. weapons shipment to Israel if Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu orders a large-scale operation in Rafah. In an interview on Wednesday, Biden said that the U.S. was still committed to Israel's defense and would supply Iron Dome rocket interceptors and other defensive arms, but added that if Israel goes into Rafah, U.S. will not supply the weapons and artillery shells used. Rafah is the last major Hamas stronghold in Gaza. Biden said he did not consider Israel strikes a full-scale invasion as they have not struck population centers. U.S. has been working with Arab states that are prepared to rebuild Gaza and help with the transition to a two-state solution following the war between Hamas and Israel. When asked about 2,000-pound bombs sent to Israel, Joe Biden confirmed that the United States has supplied these to Israel but has now paused sending in its war against Hamas. The United States is by far the biggest supplier of weapons to Israel, and it accelerated deliveries after the October 7th Hamas-led attacks. In 2016, the U.S. and Israeli government signed a third 10-year memorandum of understanding that provides $38 billion in military aid over the 10 years, $33 billion in grants to buy military equipment, and $5 billion for missile defense system. Last month, U.S. Congress approved $26 billion in additional funding for Israel. Well, let's understand what bombs were blocked by the U.S. So one shipment consists of around 907 kilograms bombs and around 771 kilogram bombs. Shipments involve Boeing-made joint direct attack munitions, which convert dumb bombs into precision-guided ones, as well as small diameter bombs. SDB-1 is a precision-guided glide bomb that packs 250 pounds of explosive. Shipment was part of an earlier approved shipment to Israel. It is not part of the recent $95 billion supplementary aid package passed in April. Also, let us understand why is the U.S. blocking these bombs. The U.S. is reviewing near-term security assistance in the context of unfolding events in Rafah. It reiterated that Israel shouldn't launch a major attack into Rafah without accounting for and protecting the civilians. The U.S. decision was taken due to concerns about the end use of the bombs and the impact they could have in dense urban settings. And now let me quickly tell you about when was the decision made and was Biden involved. U.S. officials said that the decision was made last week in which Biden was directly involved. Well, Israel announced its intentions to carry out major operation in Rafah in February this year. This met backlash from the international community, including from Israel's largest military supplier, United States. On February 12th, the U.S. first voiced concern, saying civilians who are packed into Rafah in the Gaza Strip are exposed and vulnerable and must be protected. President Biden did not talk about any consequences but urged their protection. However, by March, the U.S. hinted at considering conditioning military aid to Israel if it were to invade Rafah. They also issued its strongest public warning till then, terming any such attempt in Rafah would be a mistake. On March 19th, Biden, in a phone call with Netanyahu, asked him to send a team to Washington to discuss ways to target Hamas without a major ground operation in Rafah. On April 5th, the two leaders spoke again, during which Biden stressed Israel must implement steps to address civilian harm and the safety of workers and work towards a ceasefire to bring hostages home. On May 5th, the U.S. expecting Israeli invasion indicated to put a hold on a shipment of ammunition. And now on May 8th, U.S. officials are talking of a hinge point in the relationship in which this suspended arms package could be just the first manifestation, depending on how Israel now acts in Rafah. And Israeli women rallied in Tel Aviv on Wednesday, demanding the release of around 130 hostages still held after 6 months in Gaza by terrorist group Hamas. This week, Hamas declared it and accepted a ceasefire proposal brokered by Egypt, but Israel rejected the offer, accusing Hamas of altering the terms of the deal. Though the negotiations did not break off and shuttle diplomacy continues, with CIA Chief Bill Burns in Israel on Wednesday to meet Netanyahu. Street demonstrations by families and supporters of hostages still held in Gaza have become a constant fixture, with protesters demanding a ceasefire deal with Hamas to get them back home. Others are demanding the government and the Israeli Defense Forces press ahead with the Rafah operation against the remaining Hamas formations holding out around the city. Well, there's still no sign of a breakthrough in Egyptian-mediated talks between Israel and Hamas, but negotiations are continuing in Cairo. Meanwhile, the director of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency is reported to have been in Israel meeting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In Washington, the U.S. Defense Secretary has publicly acknowledged that the decision to hold up weapon shipments to Israel is a response to its plans for a large offensive in the Gaza city of Rafah. DD India's Washington correspondent Kate Fisher reports for more.
In the most blunt public statement to date that the US does not approve of its ally Israel's plans to invade Rafah, US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin told a Senate committee that the US has paused one shipment of high-payload munitions. He said that from the beginning the US has been clear that Israel shouldn't launch a major attack into Rafah without accounting for and protecting the civilians that are in the battle space. The public nature of his comments increases the strain on the US-Israeli relationship, and it signals the kind of leverage that the US can use to influence Israel's conduct in the war. But Republicans have condemned the move, arguing that the US is contradicting the will of Congress after lawmakers pass more than $14 billion in funding to help Israel in its fight against Hamas. Secretary Austin argued that the Biden administration's commitment to Israel's security is still, quote, ironclad, and that the US would, quote, continue to do what's necessary to ensure that Israel has the means to defend itself. Meanwhile, a mid-level Israeli delegation remains in Cairo for ceasefire talks with Hamas, despite a lack of progress. The main sticking point appears to be that Hamas wants a complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip, but Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu says its forces won't stop fighting until Hamas is destroyed and the hostages are released. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
Well, updates from Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russian missiles and drones struck nearly a dozen Ukrainian energy infrastructure facilities on Wednesday, causing serious damage at 3 thermal power plants and blackouts in multiple regions. Ukraine's Air Force said it shot down 39 of 55 missiles and 20 or 21 attack drones used for the attack. 2 people were injured in the Kyiv region. Some 350 rescuers raced to minimize the damage to energy facilities. 30 homes, public transport vehicles, cars and a fire station. Ukrenergo CEO Vladimir Kudetsky said that the damage is on quite a large scale. There is a significant loss of generating power, so significant that even imports of power from Europe will not cover the shortage that has been created in the energy system. Russia's defense ministry said it struck Ukraine's military-industrial complex and energy facilities in retaliation for Kyiv strikes on Russian energy facilities. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un expressed firm support and solidarity for Russia in his congratulatory message to Russian President Vladimir Putin over Victory Day, which marks the 79th anniversary of the end of the World War II. Russia on Thursday marks the Soviet Union's victory over Germany in World War II as relations with the West spiraled deeper into crisis over the advance of Russian troops against Ukraine's Western-backed forces. While Russia slammed Washington over the recent report on India's context, Russian Foreign Minister spokesperson Maria Zakharova accused US to destabilize India during Lok Sabha elections. Speaking to media, she said that the US doesn't understand the national mindset and historical context of the development of the Indian state and not respecting India as the state. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson added Washington's actions clearly constitute interference in India's internal affairs. And Chinese President Xi Jinping arrived in Budapest on Wednesday, marking the third and the last stop on his first European tour in 5 years. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán and his wife received the Chinese president at the airport. Xi's visit to Hungary marks his first state visit to the European country as China's head of state. The Chinese president is due to meet Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán on Thursday. She is on a state visit to Hungary at the invitation of President Tamás Szoliuk and Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. And the U.S. House of Representatives on Wednesday swiftly defeated an effort by Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene to remove fellow Republican Speaker Mike Johnson from his leadership role. Democrats joined Republicans in a 359-43 vote to protect Johnson's speakermanship in a bid to avoid a replay of the chaos that occurred in October when Republicans ousted his predecessor, Kevin McCarthy. Earlier, standing flanked by fellow Republican Thomas Massie, Greene criticized Johnson for a string of compromises with Democrats who hold a majority in the Senate.
Mike Johnson is ill-equipped to handle the rigors of the job of Speaker of the House and has allowed a uniparty, one that fuels foreign wars, tramples on civil liberties, and increases our disastrous national debt, to take complete control of the House of Representatives.
Well, Republican Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday called an attempt to oust him from the job a misguided effort and said he hoped it would be the end of frivolous character assassination.
Hopefully, this is the end of the personality politics and the frivolous character assassination that has defined the 118th Congress. It's regrettable. It's not who we are as Americans, and we're better than this. We need to get beyond it.
Well, U.S. House of Representatives Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said on Wednesday that House Democrats would continue to work as agents of change following an overwhelming vote to stop Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene's effort to oust fellow Republican Mike Johnson from his role as House of Speaker. Jeffries said it was a vote of conscience, adding that it was an effort to stop Greene from plunging the House of Representatives and the country into further chaos.
Our decision to stop Marjorie Taylor Greene from plunging the House of Representatives and the country into further chaos is rooted in our commitment to solve problems for everyday Americans in a bipartisan manner. We need more common sense and less chaos in Washington, D.C.
Well, still to come on DD India News Hour. In face of an unprecedented drought, Panama's president-elect vows to help fix canal water problems and also build major train line. North Macedonia's right-wing opposition wins big in parliamentary and presidential elections. And Bolivia launches a festival to mark the International Year of Camelids.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kunanan. Moving on, the adult film star pivotal in Trump's hush money trial testifies again this Thursday. Earlier this week, Stormy Daniels disclosed details of her alleged romantic involvement with Trump, a claim he refutes. Prosecutors assert the payment for her silence a decade later was improperly labeled as legal expenses. Trump maintains his innocence against 34 felony charges. Reporting from New York, DD India's Sally Patterson covers the latest developments in the ongoing case.
Well, the jury had Wednesday to think over Stormy Daniels' testimony because the court doesn't sit on Wednesdays. But on Tuesday, they heard from the woman who is in some ways at the very centre of this trial. Daniels took to the stand on Tuesday and talked the jury through the relationship she says she had with Donald Trump. She claims to have met the former president in 2006 at a golf tournament in Lake Tahoe. She says Trump then invited her back to his suite for dinner. She wasn't sure whether to go, but she says after speaking to her publicist, she decided it was worth going because her publicist said that it was going to be a good story either way. Now, Daniels says that she went to Trump's hotel suite, went inside and found him wearing just his satin pajamas. She said the two of them had dinner where they discussed her career and the pornography industry more widely. She says she went into the bathroom after they'd eaten, and when she came out, Trump was lying on his bed wearing just his underwear. She says a sexual encounter then took place. Donald Trump has always denied any affair or sexual relationship between the pair of them. Now, the reason that her testimony is crucial to this case is because this trial is looking at an allegation put forward by the prosecution that Donald Trump tried to cover up that affair in a way that wasn't actually legal. The prosecution claims that the way that the money was paid to Stormy Daniels, $130,000 to keep quiet ahead of the 2016 election, that in itself is not illegal, but they say that the way that Donald Trump then paid back that money to his then lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen was. Trump allegedly filed those expenses as legal expenses, something the prosecution says is incorrect. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 different felony counts. He said that this is all a political smear by his opponents designed to try and keep him out of the White House. Sally Patterson in New York reporting for DD India.
Well, the Biden administration is set to make a targeted move aimed at reducing illegal crossings. According to sources, the administration is expected to issue a new regulation tightening access to asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border. The regulation would require migrants to be assessed at an initial asylum screening stage to see whether they should be barred from asylum and quickly deported. The regulation are expected to be issued as a proposed one and finalized at a later date. President Biden, seeking second term, has struggled with record numbers of migrants since taking office in 2021, while former President Donald Trump has criticized Biden for rolling back more restrictive Trump-era policies. And South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has completed his first 2 years in office. This morning, Yoon held his first news conference in 21 months, which comes after the defeat of his People Power Party in the April 10th vote prompted calls for a change in his leadership style and policy direction to salvage a presidency not yet at the halfway point. Yoon said his government's efforts to improve people's lives had fallen short. He also announced the formation of a new government military to address the country's record low birth rate and fast-aging society. And India correspondent Chris Gilbert tells us more from Tokyo.
Well, it's certainly a chance for President Yoon to get some skeletons out of the closet to address the people of South Korea. He doesn't do it very often. The last one was at the end of his first 100 days in office in August 2022. And he's made the most of the opportunity, as you mentioned, to announce the establishment of a new ministry which is responsible for directly responding to the declining birth rate. South Korea, of course, has the lowest birth rate in the world. It's fallen from 2021 from about 0.8 children per couple to about 0.72. That's lower than even Japan's. He has called it a crisis, and the chief of that new ministry is going to be also the deputy social affairs or the deputy social welfare minister. So they're going to be responsible for labor and education, really across the board, trying to tackle this depopulation crisis. It's also been an opportunity for him to address not just some policy, but some scandals, mainly affecting his wife, the First Lady, and a couple of issues there. The first her allegedly accepting a luxury Dior handbag from a Korean-American pastor in 2022. Yoon Suk-yeol has called this unwise conduct and has apologized for it. There's another issue involving the First Lady surrounding an investigation into her allegedly manipulating the stocks of the Deutsche Motors company, that's the BMW dealership in South Korea, between 2009 and 2012. On that issue, the president has been addressing reporters following his speech, and he said there's an investigation ongoing, and if that becomes insufficient or does not deliver the results that are satisfactory, then the government may look into it themselves. It's been a long time between drinks for the president addressing the people of South Korea, and a timely opportunity for him following that election defeat to get some issues out in the open.
Well, Panama's president-elect Jose Raul Mulino said on Wednesday he will urge lawmakers to approve a law enabling the Panama Canal to build large water reservoirs in the face of an unprecedented drought that has hit the capacity of the vital waterway. In an interview, Mulino said he wants the law which would grant the waterway permission to operate on land needed for the reservoirs to be the first approved under his administration. The canal, he added, needs a solution to the lost revenue linked to adverse climate conditions. Mulino also said he wanted to make a major new tourist train similar to one built in Mexico, a flagship project of his administration. And stage is set for North Macedonia to get its first woman president as right-wing opposition won in recent runoff presidential vote and parliamentary elections. Opposition candidate Gordana Silijunoviska Devskova party held maximum number of votes. She pledged to cooperate with Balkan neighbors and suggested support for the country's EU hopes. While expected future Prime Minister Ristijan Mikoski said his party and the ready bloc of Albanian opposition parties would form the government. And Fiji's former long-serving Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama was sentenced to a year in prison for perverting the course of justice on Thursday. Bainimarama was initially spared jail in the case during sentencing last month before an appeal by the country's Director for Public Prosecutions. Bainimarama is the former military chief who came to power in a 2006 coup and later won democratic elections in 2014 and 2018. He was found guilty this month by the High Court of attempting to pervert the course of justice while he was Prime Minister by telling a senior police official to stay away from an investigation into the University of South Pacific. And some other updates now. Rain returned to flooded southern Brazil. More rain and the risk of lightning and stiff winds interrupted rescue efforts and threatened to exacerbate a catastrophe that has already killed at least 100 people and left over 1 lakh seeking shelter. The floods that began last week, caused by unusually heavy rains, have destroyed highways and bridges in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, which borders Uruguay and Argentina. At least 128 people are still missing, the state's civil defense authorities said, urging people living close to Pitos Lagoon south of Porto Alegre to leave their homes immediately. Brazil's National Center for Natural Disasters warned that the southern area of Rio Grande do Sul state was under high risk of more flooding, with rainfall expected to restart after a brief hiatus. Well, severe storms battered the Midwest U.S., unleashing a curtain of heavy rain, gusty winds and tornadoes throughout the region. Multiple tornadoes touched down in southern Michigan throughout the day, causing damage to several buildings. This wave of severe weather came right after a series of tornadoes hit Oklahoma the previous day, resulting in at least 1 fatality and 5 injuries. Reports from local media described extensive damage to homes and trees uprooted in the northeastern part of the state. And widespread recent power outages in Mexico were caused by unseasonably hot weather. President Andres Manuel Lopez assured consumers that the national grid has sufficient generating capacity going forward. Around 20 of Mexico's 32 states were affected by rolling power outages. Tuesday's power outages struck as large parts of Mexico have also been grappling with severe water shortages. And winter-like weather surprisingly returned to Chile's capital, Santiago, which took residents by surprise in the austral autumn. Drone views captured Santiago's metropolitan area, snow-capped. Authorities have advised locals in the Santiago metropolitan region to travel consciously. In July 2020, snow appeared in the eastern part of the capital, specifically in the commune of La Barnechea. In July 2017, Santiago residents woke up to a rare snowfall that blanketed the capital and caused widespread power outages. On the occasion of Mata Tirtho Onsi, synonymous to Mother's Day, people in Nepal visit their mothers to see their face, assuming they see the divine through them. The Mata Tirtho Onsi festival is celebrated on the full moon day of the month of Baisakh, according to a local calendar. In every home in Nepal, people offer gifts to their mother. People take a bath in the morning, offer beautiful clothes and delicious food to their mother, and take their blessings. And when South Korean hit drama Queen of Tears required a snowy forest for a particular scene and none can be found outdoors, generative AI came to the rescue. Showrunners used the technology to produce the background by learning the structure of complex trees and creating patterns in a short time. It was something human designers would not have been able to do. The use of the technology was made possible because the company opened a VP studio, virtual production stage. In 2022, it is equipped with multiple displays, including a large-scale LED curved screen. Drama or movie productions often use chroma keying methods, which includes green screens, but it's hard for actors to imagine and perform in a plain background, and there are limitations on post-production processes. However, virtual production makes real-time image synthesis possible. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Tandem racing for dogs and their owners take off amid pet and fitness boom in China. Dogs owners and their pets were seen reeling across the streets of China. For many participants, dog trail races aren't just recreational activities, but also a way to strengthen the bond between themselves and their four-legged friends. 3 8-week-old Asiatic lion cubs at London Zoo have taken their first steps outside. Accompanied by their mother, the trio enjoyed the sunshine, with one also playing with their mother's tail. The cub's development has been closely monitored and captured on hidden cameras known as CubCam. Bolivia launched the UN-proclaimed 2024 International Year of Camelids with an exhibition that gathered participants throughout the production chain. The festival's aim is to boost the industry that sustains over 80,000 families in the Andean country to honor the animal's key role in the economy and culture of 90 countries, including Bolivia. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Campaigning intensifies as the fourth phase approaches on 13th May, rallies being held in full swing. Maldivian Foreign Minister Musa Zamir to hold talks with India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar here in Delhi. And we'll tell you about wildfires which continue to devour forest in Uttarakhand and what is being done to prevent and control it.
Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Lepakshi Khurana. Now a quick recap of the headlines once again. Strongest words yet from the US president warning Israel. Biden declares US won't supply weapons if ground operation in Rafah initiated. Holds back delivery of high payload munitions. Russia launches massive attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure facilities. 3 thermal power plants badly damaged. Airstrikes cause blackouts in multiple regions. Rain fury returns to add to misery of flooded southern Brazil. Death toll reaches 100 as search and rescue operations interrupted by fresh storms. And security forces neutralize major threat in Kashmir. 3 terrorists, including wanted Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Basit Dar, killed in Kulgam. And in football, Joselu helps Real Madrid produce a spectacular comeback against Bayern Munich to reach their 6th Champions League finale. Well, moving on, 3 terrorists have been gunned down during an encounter in Kulgam district of Jammu and Kashmir. 1 terrorist was killed on Wednesday evening, while 2 others were killed on Tuesday, including a top resistance front or TRF commander. Our correspondent said fresh search operation has ended on Thursday morning, while the identity of the deceased is being ascertained. 2 terrorists, including wanted Lashkar-e-Taiba Basit Dar, were killed in the encounter with security forces on Tuesday. And committed to bring POK back to India, Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated India's stance to bring Pakistan-occupied Kashmir back to India, saying it is national commitment. Speaking at an event at Gargi College on Vishwa Bandhu Bharat, he said people just assume that Article 370 cannot be changed, and this is something that we have to accept. Now, once we changed it, the entire ground situation changes, unquote.
Even 370. People just assume 370 cannot be changed, and that, this is something we just have to accept because the politics of the day had driven it very deeply into public consciousness. Now we see, once we change it, then the entire ground situation changes. So all I can say with respect to POK, that there is a parliament resolution. Every political party of this country is committed to ensure POK, which is a part of India, returns to India. This actually is our national commitment.
Well, earlier on, 5th of May, asserting the ground situation, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that India will never give up its claim on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but it won't have to capture it with force because its people on their own would want to be a part of India after seeing the development in Kashmir. And moving on, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Maldives, Musa Zamir, is on an official visit to India. Foreign Minister Zamir will meet the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, for discussions on bilateral and regional issues of mutual interest. Maldives is India's key maritime neighbor in the Indian Ocean region, and Foreign Minister Zamir's visit is expected to lend further momentum to the bilateral cooperation between the 2 countries. This is his first official visit to India since assuming office. And now let's get to the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Well, the 4th phase of India's Lok Sabha elections is set to be held on the 13th of May with voters across 96 constituencies in 10 states to cast their ballot. This phase will witness voters in all 25 seats in Andhra Pradesh and 17 constituencies in Telangana, along with other states participating in the electoral process. The build-up to this phase has been intense, with political rallies and campaigns in full swing. And campaigning for the 4th phase of Lok Sabha elections scheduled for May 13th gains momentum as political leaders holding rallies and roadshows across the nation. In order to garner support of voters in favour of party's candidate, Union Home Minister Amit Shah to hold a rally in Bhongir Lok Sabha constituency of Telangana. Bharatiya Janata Party National President J.P. Nadda to hold public rally in Uttar Pradesh's Chitrakoot in support of candidate R.K. Singh Patel. BJP leader and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath to hold several rallies in the state. Well, in order to garner support in party's favour, political parties geared up to woo voters across the country. Samajwadi Party Supremo Akhilesh Yadav to hold public rally in Uttar Pradesh's Lakhimpur constituency. SP candidate Utkarsh Verma contesting from the Lakhimpur seat. Bahujan Samaj Party Chief Mayawati to hold public meeting in Kannauj constituency of Uttar Pradesh. Well, for more, Yogesh Sheetal joins us from Maharashtra. Well, Yogesh, good morning. Maharashtra, if we talk about, is the economic powerhouse and the cultural hub of India. It is gearing up for the phase 4 and there are very, very high stake constituencies this time. How is the campaigning going on there?
You have rightly said that Maharashtra contributes, in fact, maximum to the GDP of country, and Mumbai is also, treated as the financial capital of India. So, coming to election perspective, you have rightly underlined that how the campaigning is in full swing in all the pockets. There are 11 constituencies which are going to poll in this phase. 3 out of these constituencies are from North Maharashtra, 3 from Marathwada region, and rest 5 are from Western Maharashtra. So, coming to all the regions, there are some hot seats, like we know that in where I am standing now, right now in Aurangabad, it is renamed as Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar. It's a triangular contest. In last election 2019, we have seen Imtiaz Jalil secured, victory with a thin margin of around 4,000 votes, more than 4,000 votes. At the same time, coming to other pockets, basically Marathwada, Rao Sahab Danvi is one of the key candidates because he is also railway Minister of State for Railways, and yesterday Amit Shah held a rally in Jalna to campaign for him. And coming to Western Maharashtra, there are Shirur kind of seats, Shirur and Mawal. These are the seats which the political circles people are discussing, because the two factions of NCP, the Sharad Pawar led NCP and Ajit Pawar NCP, they are contesting. They are on the same seat. So multiple factors are there coming to issues as far as major issues are concerned, given the fact that we know Maratha reservation is going to play some role in these constituencies. At the same time, in Bid-like constituency where Pankaja Munde is contesting, is one of the prominent, OBC leaders. We all know how Gopinath Munde, garnered support in the entire region, entire Marathwada region. So Pankaja Munde is contesting from that seat. Coming to that perspective also, Maratha reservation, Maratha quota protest, and after that how the government took steps to manage that protest. These all the things would be playing key role in this phase, particularly in Maharashtra. Over to you, Lipakshi.
All right. We are now also joined by Debyendu Mundal from West Bengal. Well, Debyendu, good morning. As many as 21 candidates fighting the Lok Sabha elections in West Bengal's 8 constituencies, which are going to the polls in the 4th phase. If we talk about Krishnanagar also, a few heavyweights contesting there. Can you tell us more?
Well, good morning, Lipakshi. That's right. We are at the Krishnanagar constituency here in West Bengal. So, of course, this is a constituency that many political analysts are keeping their eyes on because, of course, of the fact that TMC heavyweight Mahua Moitro is contesting from this particular constituency, and the BJP has also put up a heavyweight candidate, Amrita Roy, who has been the Queen Mother or the Rani Ma of Krishnanagar. She is from the erstwhile royal family of Krishnanagar. Raja Krishna Chandra Roy's descendant here in the Krishnanagar region, where she is fighting and contesting against the TMC's Mahua Moitro. Of course, this contest will be an interesting one because remember, Lipakshi, Mahua Moitro had embroiled herself in multiple controversies. Recently, she was also ousted from the Indian Parliament's lower house, Lok Sabha, after she was engaged in a cash for question scam, alleged scam, after which she was ousted. She's recontesting from this particular constituency. The TMC leaders, both Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee, has thrown their weight around her, showing supports. Of course, while the BJP's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also campaigned for the BJP candidate Amrita Roy here in Krishnanagar just a couple of days back. So this constituency, which also has a significant number of minorities, is something that, the BJP is trying to bring into their fold. and hoping that they would be able to win from this particular constituency, given the fact that a number of Matua community leaders also constitute a significant number of population chunk here in this constituency. And remember, just a couple of days before the election was announced, the government implemented the Citizenship Amendment Act, which the BJP thinks would be a game changer for West Bengal and bring votes in favor of the BJP here in Bengal. So, of course, there are multiple constituencies which will be impacted by the CAA, and one of which is the Krishnanagar constituency. Back to you, Lipakshi.
All right, Yogesh and Divyendu, many thanks for all that update from there. And moving on, the Election Commission of India has established special polling booths for across Delhi to facilitate Kashmiri migrants residing in Delhi casting their votes in person. 4 special polling booths have been established for the community at different locations in the capital for Kashmiri migrants to exercise their right to vote on the polling days during general elections on the seats across Jammu and Kashmir. Senior citizens in North India's Pulwama cast their vote from home in Avantipora. For the first time in India's election history, the Election Commission of India has announced a vote from home option for senior citizens above 85 and persons with disabilities. The initiative was taken in order to increase voting percentage in the general elections. Well, Indore continues to be the cleanest Indian city for 7 years in a row. And the secret lies in waste management, which means creating wealth from waste. DD India's correspondent Vishal Baristo finds out more with the mayor of Indore, Pushimatra Bhargav.
Cleanliness is a habit. And when it comes to cleanliness, then definitely it has to be corruption also. This was the vision of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I have with me Mayor of Indore. Indore has been #1 city as far as this competition is concerned for the 7 consecutive times. Let's talk to the mayor and find out his secret about Indore. When we talk about Indore, it's become a brand itself when it comes to cleanliness. So what is the secret?
The secret behind the cleanliness of Indore is the behavioral change, the public participation, the role of our Safai Mitra. And it is not only about the cleanliness. Now Indore has become the global brand for waste to wealth, waste to art, and the different innovations of generating wealth out of the waste.
When we talk about generating wealth out of the waste, waste management is a very big issue. So what is the secret behind it as far as Indore is concerned?
Most importantly, the segregation at source. Out of this 5 lakh households, our D2D, that is door-to-door garbage collection vehicles, are collecting this garbage from more than 5 lakh households, and that too in 6 segregated waste like plastic, non-plastic, e-waste, hazardous waste, and the weight waste. And we are processing it with the objective of generating wealth out of it. Like from our bio-CNG plant, which is run on the weight waste, we are generating a revenue of around 2 CR per year. From our solid waste processing plant, we are generating the wealth of around 1 CR per year. So this way, it is not only about the cleanliness, but this waste management has become a source of earning.
So there you hear from the mayor, it's a habit, and as we all say, and as the father of the nation said, cleanliness is godliness. With cameraman Manmohan in Indore, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Well, with phase 4 of India's general election right around the corner, Andhra Pradesh is all set to go for both general polls and its assembly elections. Let's take a deep dive and know more about the state. Located in southern India, the state of Andhra Pradesh is known for its temples, beaches and hills. Spread over an area of 160,000 square kilometers, the state has a 974-kilometer long coastline with the Bay of Bengal. The unified Andhra Pradesh was bifurcated into 2 states, the present-day Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, in 2014. Andhra's capital is Amravati, while its largest city is Visakhapatnam. Historically, Andhra Pradesh was ruled by various dynasties including the Pallavas and the Nizams. Tirumala Venkateshwara temple, located in the state's Tirupati city, is among India's most visited religious sites. Agriculture and industry have been the main contributor to Andhra's economy. Blessed with mineral resources, the state has rich deposits of limestone and coal. In the 2024 general elections, Andhra Pradesh, which has 25 seats in the Lok Sabha or the lower house of the Indian Parliament, is going to polls in a single phase on May 13th. The state has over 40 million voters, out of which over 20 million are men, 20 million are women, while nearly 3,500 belong to the third gender. The state is currently governed by the YSR Congress Party. Other key political players are Telugu Desam Party, Bharatiya Janata Party, Congress and the Jana Sena Party. In the 2019 general elections in Andhra Pradesh, the YSRCP won 22 seats while the TDP bagged 3. Andhra Pradesh is witnessing two major poll battles in 2024, with the general elections and the state legislative assembly elections taking place simultaneously. With multiple parties in the fray, the state is set for a gripping contest. Election Desk, DD India. Well, residents across India have been grappling with soaring temperatures as a scorching heat wave grips several parts of the country. Heat wave conditions grew severe in Rajasthan since Tuesday, with most places witnessing a significant rise in temperatures. Barmer was hottest in the state with a maximum temperature of 45.9 degrees Celsius yesterday. The Indian Meteorological Department predicts of heat wave conditions very likely to grapple the isolated pockets of West Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Saurashtra and Kutch till 9th of May. And as wildfires continue to devour forest in Uttarakhand, the Supreme Court on Wednesday pulled up the state government, saying that cloud seeding or depending on rain is not an answer to the problem and the authorities will have to take preventive measures to tackle it. The Uttarakhand government has apprised the apex court that up to 0.1% of the forest cover in Uttarakhand was affected by fire incidents, and since November last year, there have been 398 forest fires in the state. Meanwhile, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami on Wednesday suspended 10 forest personnel and issued directions to initiate disciplinary action against 7 others for their alleged negligence that led to the fire. And after cancellation of nearly 80 flights, Air India Express has terminated 30 cabin crew members after they failed to report to work. The termination letter issued to crew members saying that the mass leave clearly points to a premeditated and concerted abstention from work without any justifiable reason. The Air India Express crisis is fresh trouble for the Tata Group. Barely a month after its full-service carrier Vistara witnessed disruptions due to protest by pilots over changes in their pay packages. The Char Dham Yatra commences with the opening of doors of Kedarnath Dham on 10th of May with worship and Vedic chanting. The preparation for the opening of the doors are going on in full swing, and the temple is being decorated with 40 quintals of flour. And still to come in DD India News Now. US could ban Chinese-connected vehicles or impose restrictions on them. The Olympic flame arrived in France amid tight security. And we'll show you amazing snow-covered cherry blossoms as Japan reels under snow in Momitsu City. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana and on to some business news now. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo said on Wednesday the Biden administration could take an extreme action and ban Chinese connected vehicles or opt to impose restrictions. The department in late February said it was opening an investigation into whether Chinese vehicle imports pose national security risk and accepted public comments through April 30th on the issue. The U.S. Commerce Department is reviewing public comments that were due by April 30th. The White House said in February the commerce probe was being opened because vehicles collect large amounts of sensitive data on their drivers and passengers and regularly use their cameras and sensors to record detailed information on U.S. infrastructure. President Joe Biden has repeatedly said he will take action to prevent a flood of Chinese vehicle imports. And in sports news, Real Madrid's Joselu scored twice in the final minutes as they fought back from the brink of elimination to reach the Champions League final with a dramatic win over Bayern Munich on Wednesday. Real's two-win in the second leg in a repeat of their spectacular semi-final comeback win over Manchester City 2 years ago. They saw their opponents take the lead after Beyond substitute Alphonso Davies scored from a counter-attack in the 68th minute. And in sports, the Olympic flame landed on French soil amid tight security on Wednesday, firing the starting gun on a summer extravaganza of sport. The flame arrived in Marseille after a 12-day trip from Greece on board the Balam, a 128-year-old three-masted tall ship. President Emmanuel Macron hopes the sport will showcase the splendors of France and burnish his legacy. And in Japan, cold air that hovered above brought snow in the Monbetsu city, where cherry blossoms are in full bloom, leaving mesmerizing visuals of snow-covered cherry blossoms. Take a look. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
As India decides